reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Two of the disciples were on their way to a village called Emmaus, 7 miles from Jerusalem, and they were talking together about all that had happened. Now as they talked this over, Jesus himself came up and walked by their side, but something prevented them from recognizing him. He said to them, "What matters are you discussing as you walk along?" They stopped short, their faces downcast. Then one of them, called Cleopas, answered him, "You must be the only person staying in Jerusalem who does not know the things that have been happening there these last few days." "What things?" he asked. "All about Jesus of Nazareth." They answered, "Who proved that he was a great prophet by the things he said and did in the sight of God and of the whole people, and how our chief priests and our leaders handed him over to be sentenced to death and had him crucified. Our own hope had been that he would be the one to set Israel free. And this is not all. 2 whole days have gone by since it all happened, and some women from our group have astounded us. They went to the tomb in the early morning, and when they did not find the body, they came back to tell us they had seen a vision of angels who declared he was alive. Some of our friends went to the tomb and found exactly as the women had reported, but of him they saw nothing." Then he said to them, "You foolish men, so slow to believe the full message of the prophets. Was it not ordained that the Christ should suffer and enter into his glory?" Then starting with Moses and going through all the prophets, he explained to them the passages throughout the scriptures that were about himself. When they drew near to the village to which they were going, he made as if to go on, but they pressed him to stay with them. "It is nearly evening," they said, "and the day is almost over." So he went in to stay with them. Now while he was with them at table, he took the bread and said the blessing. Then he broke it and handed it to them. And their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, but he had vanished from their sight. Then they said to each other, "Did not our hearts burn within us as he talked to us on the road and explained the scriptures to us?" They set out that instant and returned to Jerusalem. There they found the 11 assembled, together with their companions, who said to them, "Yes, it is true. The Lord has risen and has appeared to Simon." Then they told their story about what had happened on the road and how they had recognized him at the breaking of the bread. The Gospel of the Lord. I saw the Lord before me always. Dear brothers and sisters, taking the cue from our first reading in relation to our Gospel as well today, after the crucifixion, we knew the disciples were at a loss. The majority of them, we knew, ran away. The apostles, who were called to be fishers of men, went back to become fishermen again. And for those disciples who only heard about the crucifixion, or those who did not stay on to keep vigil for the resurrection, left Jerusalem, feeling disappointed because their own teacher, their rabbi, their master is dead. So the best thing to do is to get away from all the scandals, the hurts, saddened, and giving up by throwing the towel into the basket, because there is nothing more to be done in our own life as well. This happens in the life of the church, the same. We follow someone or some church or some parish like some cultic movement, and then when we encounter the scandals that take place, petty human scandals, we leave This is also reflected in our excuses. So what happens? We don't come to church anymore. We make up excuses like, I rather pray at home. I pray in spirit. What spirit? Or the excuse that I do not need to come to church anymore to pray. Or even, I just don't like the politics of the church. These are the lamest excuses we can ever give, only because we fail to understand that we are here for the risen Lord, and we will also leave because of the risen Lord. Take from my example as a priest, I can drop everything. I can just say Mass, hide my way around, sweet talk my homilies, refusing to become a peacemaker, remaining just a peacekeeper. Turn off my phone on Mondays, our official off day as ordained ministers. Completely turn off. And even demand my rights for a 1 month break, even when I know of the situation of the diocese. It's like I'm only there to work and not live out the ordained ministry. All of us, dear brothers and sisters, in relation to priesthood, all of us are priests by virtue of our baptism. But the ordained minister, the ordained priest, of course, is called not to just to be a priest for duty, but a pastor also to everyone in the parish that he is assigned to. Meaning to say, a pastor to the entire district of believers and unbelievers of the Catholic Church. Taking into the prayer of Saint Ignatius of Loyola, when we give, when we are called to serve, this should come in mind. Take, Lord, receive all my liberty, my memory, my understanding, my entire will. All that I have and possess, you have given it all to me. Dispose of it according to your will. Give me only your love and your grace. That's enough for me. That is more than enough for each and every one of us to continue our lives in the common priesthood, in the ordained priesthood, and in the life of giving into the life of the church. So, dear brothers and sisters, taking cue again from the disciples, journeying back to Emmaus, our lives begin by being accompanied by the Lord first. It is His call. It's not a call from a favorite person or from our boyfriend or girlfriend or somebody we know, somebody influential, not even from influences. It is always from the Lord that call comes. As for the beloved disciple, we also can be identified as that beloved disciple in the Gospel of John. And by becoming the beloved disciple, we should not become selfish, meaning face stuck in the handphone. Or put it this way, in our accompaniment, we listen and we don't judge. Or to put it in another way, we listen first before we even think of judging. So the Emmaus journey teaches us that it began with a story, an accompaniment through history, and the promise of sacred scriptures, where the soul is being accompanied to come to an awareness of hope. What endures as Christ teaches us is quite different. The work of love is being taught to us. This is what remains and makes life beautiful and meaningful. The rest will fade away. Love is made concrete through faith and good works. So at every Mass, dear brothers and sisters, be it Sunday Mass, be it daily Mass, you should be aware of the words of the beloved disciple who recognize that it is the Lord. And when is that? At the word being proclaimed, and even more obvious, at the showing of our risen Lord's body and blood and every consecration, and then broken later to be given to each and every one of us. We experience the same encounter that the disciples of Emmaus experienced when the Lord Himself broke the bread at that particular supper. The second, put it this way, after the Last Supper. So by eating His body and drinking His blood, we should come to realize that this food He gives is a reminder of His presence, an association, a connection to His presence. That is why when we receive Him, or to receive Him means to change. To receive Him is to become part of His life, His mission, His outreach. Therefore, we remain and stay because of the Lord, and when it's time for us to leave, it is because of the risen Lord, not by some other human being, not even war, not even some terror that ever strikes us. Only when, dear brothers and sisters, we realize this, then our witnessing in the world becomes authentic, becomes credible. There is no need to worry about, again, our qualifications on paper. Those are necessary but secondary. We have those requirements, but only for the intellect. But what is use of our witnessing if it only remains with the intellect? It requires also the requirement of the heart, by recognizing whom we are truly following. Who does our heart follow? Through service. And you should know by now that it is none other than the Lord, the same risen Lord who broke bread at Emmaus and stirred up our hearts to recognize Him, to know that He is no longer the Lord of the dead, but the Lord of the living. That promise is for all of us. The bread and the wine are the signs of that promise. We continue to recognize Him in that breaking of the bread in our Last Supper every Mass. God bless.